everyone, it's Tracey Ashford, your National Sales Manager. I'm going to wait a few minutes I can see the reflection of the TV on my glasses. That drives me absolutely nuts. But I'll wait a few minutes before I get going. I'm sure there are people that are waiting to hear this training. I will tell you that you're getting me au naturel tonight. I literally had time at the end at like 5 o'clock to run to the gym really quick, come back, have a shower, and that was it. I did not get any makeup on. But anyways, I figured that, you know what, sometimes it's okay to be au naturel. So I'm sitting in my chair, and I'm all comfy, cozy. And as I see that one person is on, I hope there are others that are joining us tonight. So I'll wait a couple more minutes and see who actually joins. Hopefully you guys are comfortable, you've got your pens, you've got your paper, you're ready to dial in this training. Actually, I'm going to turn that off so I don't have reflection. Anyways, oh, here we go. So guys, wave. Tell me that you can see me. Hello. Tell me who's on. Hey, Julie. Hey, Vicky. Nice to meet you as well. All right, we'll wait a couple more minutes. Hopefully everybody, hey, Jennifer. Hopefully everybody has, I did have a cup of tea, but I finished it right before I started this call. I'm like, sadly, I need another one, but I will have to wait until I'm done. All right, so oh gosh, I don't have my phone watch on me. So I don't even know what time it is, but you know what, I'm going to value your time so that you guys hopped on time to get going. And I know that the others, if they weren't able to come on at 8:30, they'll be able to watch this at a later date, which is great. I love that about Facebook Live. Okay, so I'm going to share with you a little bit of my hostess coaching that I used to do for my hostesses when I was in the field. And I really think that it still pertains today as it did, 10, 20 years ago, right? I say that and it makes me sound so old. But reality is that's when I was in the field doing parties. We didn't have social media. We didn't have other forms in which to communicate with our hostesses other than doing this, picking up the phone and calling. And I will say that to this day, if I had to hop in the field, what would I do? I would probably hop on the phone and still do hostess coaching, because it really is about building that relationship. I personally believe that they are my business partner, and I used to tell them that they were my business partner. Without them, I didn't have any business. So it was really important that I made a great connection and built that relationship with them. Now, I'm not saying this is the end all and the be all of hostess coaching. I'm not saying that at all. But what I want you to do is I want you to take some tips and I want you to integrate it into what you're currently doing so that you see much greater success pardon me, with your in-home parties and your online parties, because this can apply to both of those, all right? So I think it's really important. So first and foremost, they were my business partner, and I treated them as such. So I really wanted to make sure that, at the end of the day, I was in service for them. Without me hostess coaching them really well, they weren't going to have a great party. And my job was to have them have a phenomenal party that they were telling absolutely everyone. And people were raving about it and saying, oh my gosh, you got to book with Tracey. She's so much fun, blah, 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 right? I got all this free stuff. And that really is the end all and the be all, right? So for me, it was about ensuring that she has a great party. I did have a benchmark, right, as to what I wanted, and I did share that with my hostesses, because nobody wants to go out and have a poopy party. You don't want to go out. Like for me, it was 2 a week. I did 8 will make you great. 2 a week is what I typically book 10 to hold 8 and close 8 and recruit 2 a month. And that was very doable. That was still really part-time when you actually look at this organization and the direct sales party plan. So for me, it was so simple and so easy. Right. So for me, I wanted to partner with them. I wanted to make sure that they were having the best experience possible, because I know that future customers, referrals, and whatnot relied on what I did. And I treated everybody as if they've never had a direct sales party before, right? Hey, Britton. Because at the end of the game, right? I mean, they could have had another direct sales party. They may not have been coached well. They may not have had a great experience. But at the end of the day, I want them to make sure that they have a phenomenal experience with me, because we know what happens when they have a great experience. They go out, go off and tell, say 50 people. When they have a really poor experience, they're gonna go off and tell 100 people. Plus they're going to tweet it. They're going to put it on Instagram. They're going to put it on social media. So end goal is for them to have a phenomenal party with you, right? So really partner with them and tell them. So if I'm booking a party at a party, because I always use my party as my office, I don't want to walk away without having bookings. So my end goal at my party was always to date parties there, right? So that was my end goal. So I told them up front as I handed them their hostess package, I said, you know what, here's the thing. I'm going to give you a call. I typically do my hostess coaching on a Sunday night from 7 to 9. And I really want you to get set up and have a phenomenal party, much like Sally had here tonight. So between the hours of 7 9 on Sunday night, which works best for you? And I would literally write it down on their hostess package. I would put it in my calendar, and they knew that I was calling them. I would also tell them, like, actually where to put the hostess planner when they got home. I said, stick that on top of their fridge. You want to make sure that you have that handy when I call you, because I will be referring to a lot of stuff in there. Okay. So for me, it set the tone. They knew that I was going to call. I chose Sunday nights because nothing happens on a Sunday night. There's no sports events. I wasn't going out the door. There was no church. There was nothing, right? So for me, I would think, well, most people are home, and most people are home. So if you set that up with them and let them know that that's when you're going to call, they're going to let you know if that works for them or not. If for whatever reason Sunday is not a good night for them, then that's okay. You don't have to do it on a Sunday night. Coordinate a different day with them. But I will say, all of the hostess coaching I'm going to talk about really does rely on the phone. It does rely on having a conversation and building that relationship with them. Because at the end of the day, guys, I'm going to be very honest with you. I can't book from an empty seat. I can't recruit from an empty seat, and I can't sell to an empty seat. So my job was to get my hostess so darn excited about that party that she wanted to do absolutely everything to ensure that she had an exceptional party. And they do often ask, like I used to remember hostesses would say, did I have a good party? Because they really want to be, to A, for themselves if they had a good party. And not only that, as well as for me, right? They want to have that good party because I've built that bond with them. Okay. So now they've got their hostess package. They know that their party is coming up. And again, I don't book far out, 2 to 3 weeks, 3 weeks very max. I never book for anything further than that because people lose steam. They lose excitement, right? So for me, I would do 2 weeks, right? And I would let them know first call is here. And your first call, guys, I will tell you, is probably the longest call that you'll make with your hostess, but it really is setting her up for success. And so make sure that you have enough time. And the other thing that I really liked about doing my hostess coaching calls on Sunday nights between 7 and 9, first and foremost, my husband knew that was his daddy duty time. So he would bath the boys, get them ready for bed, and I would run upstairs. He would generally tell me, he'd come down to the office and say, oh, they're ready for it. They're kissing their cuddle. So I would run upstairs, quick kiss and cuddle, and back downstairs. But more importantly, it was really for my team. They knew that I was in my office from 7 to 9. They could come over if they wanted to sit in my office and listen to me do hostess coaching calls, or they could, do a 3-way call with me. So they always knew that my hostess coaching calls were going to be done on this day at this time. I factored it into my time management. And it was really simple and easy for me. It was a constant and a steady in my schedule. There was the occasional one-offs that people that didn't like to get calls on Sunday, and that's fine. And I managed and I worked them into the system. But typically it was Sunday nights. So my hostess now knows. So when I'm calling her, first thing I always say is, Sally, is it still a great time to talk? Fabulous. Go and grab your hostess package. So she's going to go and get her hostess package. And the first thing I want to do, guys, is I want to set up her buying power. I want to get her excited about the product. So I would say to her, so pull out a catalog. I want you to write on the front of it, Sally's copy. I don't want you to hand this out to anybody. You've got a couple other copies for outside orders, but this one is for you. So write on it. We're going to write inside of it. But what excited you? What did you really, really want after you were at Sue's party that you didn't get? Right? So now I'm going to say, okay, so the gel kit. So let's go to page whatever. So I'm going to go. And now here's the thing, Sally, we're going to do some shopping. Let's shop for all of the rewards that you want in free product and half price. So now we're walking through the catalog. So, okay, so the gel kit. So would you like that for free or would you like that for half price? Oh, half price. Okay, fantastic. Let's circle it, put half price. You can always change this, Sally. This is not written in stone. This is just the start. So we're going to go through, right? And so I'm going to spend a good chunk of time maybe 8 to 10 minutes, depending on how much shopping she wants to do. So I'm going to spend some time doing that with her, and I'm going to get a really good idea. And I'm like going to go, awesome, this is such a great wish list. And here's the thing, you might, once we get off the phone, you might want to get a cup of tea, sit, go through, you might want to go through the wraps. You might want to go through the wraps that are online that are not in our catalog, because there are other ones, right? Our licensed products. So if you like some of that stuff, make sure you go and visit online and check that out as well. And you can just write them in the catalog, because again, this is your copy. So now I've got a really good understanding of what she's looking for her party. So now I'm going to say, I literally walk through the catalog with them, and they circle absolutely everything that they could possibly want. So now I'm going to say, Sally, here's the thing. I know the secret to get all of that stuff for free. Would you like to know what that is? Well, what hostess is going to say no to that? I'm like, okay, awesome. So here's the game plan. So let's shoot to have 15 people in attendance. What do you think is the first thing that she's going to say? 15 people, right? Now, what happens is when they start coming from large parties like that have 15 people in attendance, they just think that that's the norm. I'm going to tell you right off the top, right? I'm not saying that 4 to 6 people isn't great, but it's a little bit harder. So she's going to push back. I've never had a hostess. Well, I shouldn't say never. But I did have hostesses that pushed back, and she's like, 15 people? I don't know, Tracey. I'm like, let me qualify the reasons why, Sally. First and foremost, I want you to have a phenomenal party, and I want you to get all that stuff for free. So I really want to work with you here and get that. But let me ask you, have you ever been to a party where there's only been a couple of you sitting in the living room, and we all know that, someone's got to buy and someone's got to book, because the hostess rewards depend on that, and so does the consultant's paycheck. Have you been ever in that situation where it's really uncomfortable and it's not a good feeling? Yeah, right? So tell you what, I would prefer that your friends, your family, your coworkers, your neighbors, your kids' contacts, whoever it is that so now I'm giving her ideas of who she's going to be inviting, all of those people that you're inviting to that party, that I want them to feel comfortable coming and seeing the product, comfortable coming and buying things if they absolutely fall in love and, can't live without product. And we know that's going to happen, because who would not want to fall in love with this product? Come and, book a party if that's for them, or come and say, this is great, but it's not for me, and walk away. Would you not agree that that's what you want for all of your family, friends, and everybody you're going to invite? She's going to say yes. I'm going to say, great. So let's shoot for 15. Here's the deal, Sally. If you have 15 people in attendance at your party, I think I'm going to throw in a free gift. How's that sound? What does it cost me to throw in a free gift, guys? Absolutely nothing. It could be a wrap. It could be whatever you want it to be. But if she has 15 people in attendance, and I'm just going to do really easy math here, 15 people buying the bundle or buy 3, get 1 free, do the math. That's a $750 party. That's a lot of people that I can book parties with. It's 1 in 5 that will book, right? And I always hear you say that. Anyway, so it's 1 in 5 that will book. Plus, it gives me tons of people to offer the opportunity to. So I do encourage my hostesses to get a large attendance. All right. So I just kind of set the bar for her, because, once I started doing that, my parties started turning into $750, $1,000 parties. Now, my price point was high on the product that I was selling, but I think, we have $150 product in our kit. Who does not want an in-home gel kit for themselves? So we really have to think outside the box here, guys, and determine what it is that you want from your party. I rather go and do one really great party and come home and have $1,000. I get $350 in my pocket. That to me is bang for my buck, right? So, and I'm generally walking away with bookings. So that's not all the conversation. So I've done her shopping. I've got her super excited. Now I've told her, here's the way in which you're going to do it. You know what? We're going to create a big list. We're going to invite 15 people, right? I've overcome her objections in regards to 15. And it really is important, guys, that you learn to get over that objection really quick and really easy, and put it in the light that, we would hate for someone to come and feel uncomfortable because there's only a couple of people sitting in the living room. Okay. So now I'm going to say, oh my gosh. So you'll see inside your package, Sally, there's a few more things inside there. What you'll notice is there's some order forms, and you're going to have some people that you're going to put on your invitation list. And I do encourage you to invite 40. Trust me, not all 40 are going to come, right? But 40, you really want to have 40 on your invitation list and invite them personally. And when I mean personally, I do encourage you to pick up the phone and call them, because you know what? Your friends deserve a personal invitation from you. Here's the thing, guys. I get invited all the time to in-home parties. My friends are always having them, and they'll call me and they'll be like the day before, and they're like, Tracey, are you coming? I'm like, am I coming to what? They're like, my party. I sent you a message. Where'd you send me a message? On Facebook. I'm like, oh, I thought I was your friend. I thought I would have gotten a personal invitation. And so now all my friends know to personally call me, invite me. And I tell my hostess, I'm like, oh my gosh, your excitement for this product is going to drive them to your party. And you know what? You really want to use the words like, this is an exclusive shopping event, and just leave a really quick, brief message, because you're going to be leaving a lot of messages for your potential guests, and that's okay. But your excitement is going to get them there. All right. So I'm going to help her with some of that wording. Okay, so I'm going to say there's outside order forms in there. So some of those people that you're inviting might not be able to come. So here's the deal. We know that, I know that you love the product. We know that we have some great things that they might want to try. So I've included some invoices as well as a catalog. And I do encourage you to share that with anybody that can't come. How does that sound? She's going to say, sure. So I'm going to say, here's another thing. If you get, and you have to determine, I might start with 100, maybe 150, buy 3, get 1 free, or buy the bundle. It's really easy to accrue outside orders, guys. You have to ask for what you want. If you don't ask, you're not going to get, right? So kind of decide what that baseline is. I know mine was minimum 200 outside orders, but at Christmas time, I bumped it up to 250, 300. So I would say if you get, $150 in outside orders, I'm going to add another additional gift. How does that sound? She's not going to say no to that, right? So now I'm like, okay, fantastic. So and that's all I'm worrying about right now is I shopped with her. I got her to think of who she's actually going to be inviting and the wording, and picking up the phone and personally inviting everyone. And then the outside orders. So that's really my all 3 of the points that I want to cover on my first call, and getting over that objection of 15 people in attendance. So the last thing I'm going to do with her is say, okay, so I really want to check in with you in about a week's time. So does this time still work for you next Sunday? So I'm booking that appointment with her right away. And I'll tell her, I'll say, but that doesn't mean you can't text me or private message me. You certainly reach out to me. Because I'm here, I'm your business partner. I want to make sure and I ensure that you have a phenomenal party. Okay, great. Fantastic. So I'm going to check in with her. So the next call I make, so it's generally a week away. So I call and I'm like, hey, Sally, it's Tracey, your consultant with Jamberry, just calling to check in in regards to your party. So tell me, how many RSVPs do you have? She might say 9. Great. Looks like you guys are hopping on and off. Maybe you guys are having problems with the connection. Anyway, so she might say, I have 9. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's such a great start. I use that line all the time. She could have told me 13. I would still say that's such a great start. You only have, 6 more people to get to confirm to have 15 people in attendance. You can so do this. I so want to gift you that free item. So really simple and easy to do. Then I'll say, okay, so now some of your people, have you been getting any no's? Yeah, I have been. Okay, so tell me, have you been sharing the catalog? Right? And so if she works, I might give her some ideas how she can take it into work. What are you wearing on your fingers? Show me your wraps. So I'm really going to encourage her in how to sell to people that aren't attending the party. Okay. And I know a lot of you guys that do in-home also do an event. So that's a really great way to tie in to get those additional sales. Because imagine going to a party and you already have $150 and $200 in outside sales sitting there for you. That's really easy. She's done the work, right? And if she's doing that kind of work for you, guess how easy it's going to become for her to be a consultant, right? She's already working for you. So the last thing I'm going to say to her is like, oh my gosh, now some of those people that aren't able to come might be interested in hosting their own party. I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you one more little challenge. If you offer and ask them to host their own party and they let you know that they're going to book with me, guess what? I'm going to give you one more free little reward from me. So, come her party and I'm going to her in-home party, you know, she's earned all 3 of those. I'm going to have little bags with tissue paper in it, and she's going to open those in front of her friends, her guests, all those people. Guess what, people, ladies, it drives people to book parties when they see all the little extras that they get. Okay, so I'm like, awesome. So do you have any questions for me? You know, anything that you need answered? No? All right. So now I'm going to call her about 72 hours or 2 days before her party. Okay? So, and this is where the fun actually happens for me, right? Because I'm now getting excited. She's excited. So I'm calling her. I'm like, oh my gosh, Sally, your party's in 2 days. I can't wait to come and meet your friends. So tell me, I know I gave you a challenge of 15 people in attendance. How many people do you have coming? She might say 13. Oh my gosh, that's such a great start. You only have 2 more people to get in order to get that freebie from me. Who do you know that hasn't RSVP'd? Or here's a little trick. If you actually call all your people, and this is why I leave this to the last call, guys, call everybody and remind them and encourage them to bring an outside guest that you didn't personally invite, then guess what? I will give away some free stuff to anybody that brings a guest that is not on your registry. How's that sound? What's it costing me? Absolutely nothing. There's so many things that we can gift away for free that doesn't cost us a lot, right? And that extra body in that seat, oh my gosh, right? Okay, I can so do that. Awesome. So let's talk about your outside orders. So how are you doing? Oh, I have $100 worth. That's a great start. And again, it depends on your benchmark, guys. If you see that you are consistently getting $150 every single time you do this with your hostesses, bump it up. Right? Because that's really only 3 people buying 3, getting 1 free. So you might want to bump up your minimum, outside order to get that reward to 200. But you kind of have to start with the baseline and decide, is that working? Is that driving her to get those? Okay. So great. So you know what? Oh my gosh, you only get like $50 more. Who else is on that list that you haven't reached out with the catalog or encourage them to go online and shop? All right. So now you're going to encourage her. So I'm going to say, great, I'm so excited about your party. But I'm going to tell you, like, this is going to so totally come out of left field at you, Sally. And it's going to be a little bit of a bomb. So hold on to your seat here. But you're doing such a phenomenal job. You're already getting orders. You're getting your friends so excited about the product. Have you ever given any thought about doing what I do? This is where I offer the business opportunity, guys, because I need to offer her before I go into her party and offer every one of her friends the opportunity to do what I'm doing. 9 times out of 10, she says no. I'm like, okay, that's okay. So tell you what, inside your package, do you still have that handy on top of the fridge? Go and grab it. I've included a host join brochure. I just want you to take a look at that. And if you could, the night of your party, can you just watch what I'm doing? That's all I ask. Is she going to say no to me? No, she's not going to say no. She goes, oh, I can do that. Great. Fantastic. That's all I ask is just watch and see if you can see yourself doing, being in my shoes. Great. So those are my 3 hostess coaching calls. So all I am doing, guys, is really driving 3 things. I'm driving the attendance, right? I want 15 people, right? Kind of decide what you want out of your parties. The other thing is I'm driving that by her excitement by shopping with her. I'm driving outside orders. I'm getting her because I don't have access to people that aren't coming to that party, right? So one thing I want her to do is offer them the opportunity to shop through the catalog. And then the third thing I'm driving is I want her to actually get a booking for me. Because at the end of the day, I don't have access to these people unless she's actually doing it for me. So I'm getting her to ask. And I would say almost, not 100%, but about 90% of the time I went into that party, there was already a booking sitting waiting for me because she asked her friends to host a party. It was really pretty simple. You got to ask for what you want. So, and then the last thing I'm doing is driving the opportunity on the very last call. So now let me tie it one step further in regards to hostess coaching because I tied in the opportunity and I want you to know how I actually close it out when I get to that party. So I walk into my party, I have my tiny little bag because you don't bring everything, right? You can't possibly bring everything to a party. You always want them, leave them wanting more, right? So, but always bring that gel kit, always. It's our top price product and it's the most coveted item. So you absolutely want to bring it and romance it. So I walk in, I lay it all out and your host is going to say, that it? I'm like, yeah, I'm ready, right? And then I'm going to turn to her and I'm going to say, oh my gosh, so Sally, did you think any more about that great big huge bomb I dropped on you? And she's going to go, what bomb? You know, the one about you doing what I do? She's like, oh, no. I'm like, just watch what I do tonight. See if you can see yourself, doing it. And she's like, okay. So I do her presentation. I get 3 bookings. My goal is always 3 parties from every party. And the reason for that is 1 is to replace the party I'm doing. 2 is to build my organization. And 3rd is insurance, because sometimes parties cancel, right? So if I got all 3, that's great. And you know what? For me, if I could give away a booking to a team member, even better. So I'm double dipping. So because 2 people are working the exact same night. So I'm going to go up to her at the very end of her party. And again, this is still a little bit of hostess coaching. And I'm going to say, oh my gosh, Sally, you had a phenomenal party. I got to tell you, your friends fell in love with the product. And I'm going to explain to her what our hostess package was. And then I'm going to say, but just as much as you've received this amount in free product, I want to let you know that this is how much I've earned by doing your party tonight. Do you think I had fun? And she's going to say yes, right? Because we have fun. We are the fun factor, right? So I'll tell you what, I got 3 bookings from your party. That could mean an exponential amount. And again, you got to base it on your average your average party. And I always knew what that was. So I would say, this could represent about $500 in cash in your pocket. This is your family. These are your friends. These are your coworkers and neighbors. What would you do next month with an extra $500? Right? I don't want to walk away. These are her contacts. If she's even has an inkling about the interest in the opportunity, I'm going to talk to her about the host credit, right? As well as, joining my business. Okay. So that really is hostess coaching, guys. I always say getting the booking is easy. Hostess coaching is the work, right? That's where really, because most hostesses don't know what you need done. They know that you need a table. They know that they may want to provide a glass of wine or a few munchies or appetizers, whatever. But other than that, they really don't know what they don't know, right? Think about, as a brand new consultant, if you've ever hosted a party, have you ever been hosted or hostess coached like this? So I really want you to think big, think outside the box. How can you apply this to your online parties? What would that look like? But I do believe your very first call should be this, right? Because you want to build that relationship with her. And particularly if you are doing an in-home party, there's nothing worse. I mean, I would find it very awkward to walk into someone's house if I haven't had a couple of conversations with them first, right? I mean, I get my hostesses, to love me so much that by the end of my 3rd call, I pretty much know the name of the dog, right? And I'm like, okay, how's Fido this week, right? So for me, it is really important to formulate that relationship from the get-go. Over 80% of my hostesses would join my organization, right? So, at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, this is perfect, right? They already love the product. Why wouldn't they want to join me? All right. But it's all in how I set it up and laid it out and the relationship that I built because she was my business partner. And I let her know that she was my business partner. Without her, I didn't have a business, right? So that being said, I don't have my watch on, so I have no idea how long I actually talked for in regards to hostess coaching. But I'm sure some of you are sitting there going, this is really daunting. I don't know. How am I going to do it? Right? And one of the things, and I know I need to create for you guys some kind of checklist. So one of the things I did do is create a checklist for my parties. And every single hostess had a checklist. And I was very much pen to paper, guys, because I can't remember who I've talked to, what I've said, 8 parties a month, like, oh my gosh. So I created a checklist. Their name went at the top, their address, I filled that all in, whose party that they came from, right? Because for me, I needed to know the tie-in, right? And then I would have all 3 calls laid out and almost check boxes. So very first checkbox would be shop with hostess. Next checklist box would be ask for 15 people in attendance. Next box would be outside orders, right? Next box was any questions, set up the next call, right? At the very bottom of the page, I also had one more thing that I had the tie-in. I would write in. So I was able to go back and kind of look at them throughout the year. I would have the average order. I would have total party sales, how many parties were booked, recruit leads, all of that was there so I could actually see it and follow it along. And it was just a really good visual reminder for me. And then I would always have, her next party dated, because at the very end of her party, I always asked for one 6 months down the road. I always dated my hostess that night. So whenever I was closing that party, I always dated her 6 months out. It's simple. She loves the product. She's going to need more stuff. We're going to have a new catalog in 6 months and new products. Why would she not want to rehost? So I always would get her to tentatively rebook another party 6 months out, right? And I'd say, let's just tentatively put it in. Let's pencil it in my calendar. That way you know you're in there, because I get so super busy. I don't want you to get missed. So at least you're in there. 6 to 8 weeks out, I will reach out to you and ensure that that's still a great date for you. And it really, my calendar was always full, always full. Okay, so questions. I know that you guys have them. I just want to check the time. Okay, exactly half an hour, which is what I kind of promised, right? So, questions for me. Shoot, I know you have them. Don't be shy. There's not ever a silly question out there. Crickets. I get worried when nobody says anything. Don't be shy, guys. Honestly, I don't bite. Or maybe you're typing it out and it's waiting to propagate. I'm going to go with that. Okay, Andrea, how would I apply these tips and tricks to an online party? That is a great question. So again, very much the same way. I really do encourage you, even though you're having an online party, again, because I'm not sure how you do follow up if you don't get phone numbers. I'm always floored by people who do everything online, messaging people and whatnot. I would get that phone number and I would tell her that very first call, you're going to have what Andrea said. You guys are too funny. Hold on, I'm going to plug in my phone. My phone is dying. I've literally been on the phone since 8:30 this morning. Anyway, so I would have that very first call with her, because here's the thing, guys. You want to get her excited about the party. You want her to shop for the product. And because then that way you can get that buy-in in regards to attendance and what that actually looks like, right? I always have 3 ways to contact my hostess. So I have their cell number. Absolutely. That's absolutely a must that you get their cell number. Now, the second call, can you do a little bit of texting? Can you do a little bit of voice messaging through private messaging? Can you call them through Facebook? Absolutely, right? So it really is important. So how many hostess calls in total? There's absolutely 3 of them, right? 3 is the key. It's a magic number when it actually comes to hostess coaching. Okay. And Julie, what we can do is, if you kind of want to create a checklist for them, what we can do is kind of, 3 calls, what that kind of looks like. I used to have a binder, and my hostesses sheets used to go on my binder, and I used to pull it out, and I used to have them January through December. So I would know, and I would pull it out, flip it open to February. There are my hostesses, and there are my calls that I need to make. And it really was a great reminder as to what I needed to talk to them about. So as far as applying it to online, so going back to your question, Andrea, applying it, it's really the same principle. You're going to have them shop. You're going to talk to them about outside orders, because some of them probably work. Most women these days work. So, you're going to talk about, you can bring the catalog into work, show off your nails, maybe bring the heater in, all of that kind of stuff. So you're going to want to encourage those outside orders. You're going to want to encourage people to book a party. So you're going to talk to her about the nose and ask for, that referral of that booking. So all of the things that you would do on the phone, you're going to do for an online party as well. And again, I do come back to, having that initial conversation on the phone and connecting with her, because she's more likely to do things. And when you dangle that carrot of that extra free product, whatever it is that you want to give, she's more apt to go after it. My hostesses loved that when I showed up and I laid out the bags of and they were cute, and people were like, "What's in those bags?" Right? So the very first thing I would do is reward my hostess, and I would start with, "Thank you so much, Sally, for having me in. One of the things I love to do is reward my hostesses," and I would hand her all of the free things. I gave you a couple of challenges and you met them all. So here's for having 15 people in attendance. Here's for so I would give them, and I would ask her to open them in front of everybody so people can see what she's receiving just by hosting, right? Can I give a price point? Yes, I can give a price point. So I always think about, the return on your dollar. So 15 people in attendance, because for me, if I can have 15 people in attendance, I know darn well I can sell to these people, right? I know that I'm going to get them to fall in love. So I'm going to say probably a sheet of wraps. So whatever you have in your stash, I would give. For the other things, for a booking, because, obviously you need to follow up and you need to call that person to get the booking, you might want to give an emery board, our Jamberry emery board. I was using it earlier today, our emery board, a pusher, maybe a small sample of our hand cream, so those kind of things, right? I really want you to, I don't want you to break the bank is really what it comes down to. But here's the thing. If you get a booking from it, that could lead to another $750 party, right? So it's really important, guys, that you think, long-term and sustainable, and what's going to drive that hostess. They love the extra free stuff. They're having a party because they want to get together with their girlfriends, but more importantly, they like to get free stuff, right? So, let's reward them. Price point, I always kind of say, 15 people in attendance, I would, even a half sheet of wraps is great. And a few little extra goodies in there. Okay, let me scroll back. Would you suggest an online catalog for online parties or just going on the Jamberry website? I just, have them go to the Jamberry website. I'm all about not recreating the wheels, guys. That's a great question, Julia. But I would just give my website and I would tell them to go and browse the online catalog, right? Because for me, it's already there. You can type in your website and off they go. Okay. I love the invite 40 to guarantee 15. It really, I used to have 44 guests. So I used to have a sheet that I used to include in my hostess packages. It was called 44 guests in 4 minutes. And basically it was a conversation starter, not a conversation starter, but a thought starter for her to list out all of the people that she was going to invite. Right. And those 40 calls don't take very long. Or, and one of the things I did used to include in my hostess packages is those personal invitations, those little cards. I really like those. Those are a really great visual tool. For me, it's just like getting that little card that you get from the dentist office to remind you of your next dentist visit, and you stick it on the fridge. Same thing. They're going to get that little card and stick it on the fridge or put it on their desk at work, and it's going to remind them that they have this upcoming party. Okay. Julie asked, what would you put in a host package? Would it differ for online parties? The answer to that is it wouldn't differ there, because hostess is a hostess. They need the exact same thing in order to have a great party. So my hostess package was very simple. I have seen in a lot of the different companies I've been with, some of the things that people have put in their hostess packages, or the amount that consultants put in their hostess packages, right? I just really think about it, guys, as, okay, the less is more here. Because what happens is, as a woman, think about how many things that you have to read. If you have little kids, the things that are coming home from school. I've seen so much stuff being put in there. So here's my shtick. I put in 3 catalogs. Closer to Christmas, I actually put in 4 because I want to drive those outside orders. I put in 10 outside order forms. I don't tell them that there's 10 there, but there are 10. So my assumption is that they're going to get those outside orders. So I provide them with the tools. If you don't give them the tools, they're not going to do it. I always included the invitation cards, or I don't know what you call the postcards, the post invitations. Not that they have to post them, because here in Canada, that's extremely expensive to post anything, but it's a handout, a visual, like, you know, they can leave them in mailboxes. They can leave them on people's desks at work, right? As they're going to hockey and they're inviting moms from hockey, they can have them in their purse. So it's a really great tool as a reminder thing. And then the 44 guests in 4 minutes. I used to like that, particularly, you know, we don't necessarily have a hostess planner with the company. So it was a great thing for them to, you know, jot down, especially if they were struggling. I would spend a few minutes with them saying, okay, let's think outside the box here. Let me help you brainstorm 44 people. I know you have an understanding of or you know 44 people. Okay. So personally for me, and the last thing is the opportunity brochure. That always goes in there. And actually, I'm a little sneaky this way. I used to always put the invoices inside the opportunity, like just kind of like as a sleeve. So they actually had to see that brochure in order to take those invoices out. Right. So as I'm coaching them, I'm going to say, you know, especially, you know, inside your hostess package, and I don't tell them there's 10. I'm just saying there's invoices in there for those outside orders. So that's really it, guys. I don't put a lot because, I mean, obviously, you know, if you're not handing them out at your party, you're going to have to post that to your hostess. So you want to keep it in a budget, right? So for me, I always wanted to keep it under $5. So less is more when it comes right down to it. Okay, but provide them the tools. If you want them to collect outside orders, then you got to give them the catalogs in order to do that. And you also need to give them the invoices. Okay? Any other questions? Now that the gate's been open, they're going to come flooding in. I can see it now. That's it. Guys are quiet. Did I miss anything? Let me quickly scroll back. No, I think oh, hold on. Okay, how do you overcome objections? Okay, so what specifically? What kind of objections are you talking about, Julie? My house is too small. I don't know enough friends. What would you recommend not doing during hostess coaching calls? What would you recommend not doing? Okay, so let me go to Julie's, and then because I'm not sure specifically what you're asking, Andrea. Okay, so overcoming objections. Biggest ones are I don't know enough people, right? So I always use the Frank's list. Let's quickly brainstorm. Let's take a piece of paper out. Let's write F, friends. Tell me about all of your friends, your inner circle, and you also have an outer circle. List as many as you can. Relatives. Yes, you have to invite your mother-in-law, right? And here's the thing, guys, you know, and I would tell them, they don't have to be local. They can live far away. So I want you to think big. So don't be afraid to have your auntie who lives across the country to be included on that list. So relatives. Acquaintances. And so now I'm going to give them some ideas of who those acquaintances could be. Could be their esthetician. It could be the secretary at the school that they see all the time. Could be some of the mums that they say hello and you kind of, you know, chat a little bit with. Could be the mums at soccer or football, right? So I'm going to help them brainstorm. And in those acquaintances, it could be people from church, it could be people from the gym. So ask them places that they go and where, you know, all that kind of stuff. K is kids contacts, right? So, you know, your kids, what sporting events, their friends, moms, all that kind of stuff. I forgot N, neighbors. Present neighbors, you should always know your neighbors, right? Especially if there's any emergency, you should always know your neighbors, as well as past neighbors, because I'm sure that you made great friends with your past neighbors. Don't forget to include them. And then S is social contacts, so people on your social media that you might not necessarily know, okay? So I help them brainstorm. I don't have enough room for 15 people. Oh my gosh. I would say, and guys, whenever they give me an objection, I always knew, I kind of wrote down and I practiced using the same lines over and over and over again. That's why it kind of flows very freely from me. You know, I would always say, and I always agree with them, I so understand, right, as far as 15 people. I totally get it. But you know what? not to worry. It's really short and sweet. You saw my presentation is only 30 minutes long. It doesn't take long. And the best parties tend to end up in the kitchen anyways. So people will kind of disperse. So not to worry. You don't need to have a great big huge sitting area, just enough for people to sit, hear my demos, hear a little bit of my party talk. We're going to go and try the product, and then that's it. And then we can kind of disperse. So knowing what the objections are and how to overcome it, those are the two biggest ones. I don't have enough room. And if they really push back with that, I'd say, oh my gosh, who can you co-host with that has a great big huge house? Why don't we do a co-party with someone? They always know someone who has a bigger house than them, right? So that's how, so knowing what you're going to say, knowing the biggest objections that you hear. And guys, I'm a big scripter. I would write it out and tweak it and say it and tweak it and say it and until it becomes very authentic and very you. But it's really important, especially, that hurdle when you ask for the 15 people, you really need to be able to say, oh my gosh, I so totally understand what you're saying. But have you ever been to a in-home party where there's only been 2, 3, 4 people and you're all looking at each other, wondering who's booking, who's buying? Isn't that uncomfortable? So you need to understand how to actually present that. Okay. Okay, so I don't know who to invite, covered that. I don't have time. The time piece, I would always say, how much time do you think it actually has? How much time do you think it actually takes in order to host a party? Like, they have ridiculous concepts in their head as to how much time this is going to take. I'm like, oh my gosh, quickly we can bang off your invitations of 40 people, and you need to call them. And really, a couple of reminders, and that's it. It's not going to take you any time at all, right? So you really need to demystify that. Okay, so what are the biggest no-nos for hostess coaching? Never, ever, ever do. Okay, never, ever, ever do. I got to think about this. What are some of the no-nos? Well, some of the no-nos, not making the calls. You gotta follow through. This is, so again, getting the booking is easy. This is the work. This is where I always say the rubber meets the pavement. This is the most critical aspect. And when I coach someone and they say they've had a really poopy party, I remember when I was in the field, I had my team and they say I had a really poopy party. I'd say, okay, so tell me about your hostess coaching. And immediately they go quiet because they didn't do it. Right? And I'm like, okay, so what could you have done differently? Right? This is the most important piece, I feel anyways, when we're setting up someone's party, when we're setting up an expectation of for our hostesses. What happens when you don't have an active hostess, right? Or they aren't sending out hostess messages? Well, okay, that's a great question, Julia. That's, here's the thing. I had hostesses that didn't want to play my game. I still went through the motion because I thought it was, I would be doing her a disservice if I didn't. So I continued to do what I needed to do. Did I still go for 3 people? Yeah, I did, because you know what? You never know what 3 people could be. 3 people could be a $500 party, right? And possibly a booking, or maybe someone's interested in the opportunity. I'm not ever going to say no to that, but I'm still going to do what I know to be the most effective way to hostess coach, right? They're not all going to play the happy hostess game with me. But at the end of the day, I want to ensure that I'm at least doing my piece and my part to at least give them the information in regards to that. Okay. But there's just going to be some people that, for whatever reason, they aren't going to want to do the work. And that's a whole part of it. Okay. Other biggest no-nos for hostess coaching. I guess the other biggest no-no that I could actually say is accepting their objection. So if they say, oh no, I can't possibly get 15, and you just taking that as is. Oh, okay. Because I will, trust me guys, I used to be that person that say, oh, okay, that's not a problem. Get as many people as you think you can. I'm like, no, I really realized that, oh my gosh, if I'm not coaching her to what, for this expectation, then I'm not really setting her up for success. So I had to really kind of learn how to overcome those objections, and figure out what words work well for me, and what sounded very authentic to me. Okay. So that's why I do encourage you to kind of script it out. Okay. So Julia, I still post, but no one ever responds. Now that is a bummer. So, if that's the case, then I would circle back with the hostess and I would maybe have that conversation and say, maybe this just isn't good timing. Do you feel that your friends, are interested in the product? And maybe, some people get excited when they attend a party and think, yeah, I want to do it. But for whatever reason, they're not doing their due diligence. And at the end of the day, if they're not responding, I might have that conversation, especially if I'm doing an in-home party and I'm driving an hour away. I'm going to have that conversation with the hostess and say, you know what? It sounds like this might not be a great time for your friends. Should we reschedule based on the fact that you only have 3 people attending? Because I don't want to waste her time. I don't want to waste my time. And I don't want to waste my gas. I'd rather be at home with my family, enjoying my family. And I'd rather find a hostess that's really engaged and really wants to have a party. Because guess what? And I know online parties, to me anyways, and this could just be me, it could be the dinosaur coming out of me, online parties are a lot of work, right? And I know you guys, you use SynthShare, you auto post and all that kind of stuff. You still have to set all of that stuff up. You still have to go in there and try to interact. So if they're not responding, I might have the conversation with the hostess, and I would be picking up the phone and calling her and saying, so tell me, how did you invite your friends? So I would have a genuine conversation with her. And I never had a problem doing that, because at the end of the day, if I don't have a party, I'm unemployed. I considered it, I'm unemployed for the night. And you know what? That was not okay with me, because this was bringing in income. I left a government job to do direct sales. So it was never good when I was not going out and partying because someone was just not engaged. And that's why I always said, guys, I always tried to get 3 parties from a party. One was that insurance, and there's your insurance right there, because there are going to be people that just have poopy parties. It's a part of direct sales. So I always wanted to ensure that I had the most successful. I always wanted to ensure that I did my piece, right? Okay. Yeah, Julia, you're right. They are, online parties are a lot of work. For me, bang for your buck, is in home, because I'm doing this. I'm face to face. Trust me, if you sit down at checkout with me, or watch my demonstration and sit down and check out with me, very few people ever left without purchasing, right? So for me, I can't sell to an empty seat, I can't book from an empty seat, and I can't recruit from an empty seat. So for me, that live piece and building that relationship as soon as they come in the door was so critical. So any other questions, guys? These are all great questions, by the way. And the more you do this, the better you're going to get. It was probably one of the workshops that I used to do when I was in the field, that home office, because they called me the Kilo King. And so I was kilo meaning 1,000. I used to have $1,000 parties all the time. And they were like, how are you doing this? And I'm like, it's hostess coaching. It's a no-brainer. Like, you just need to really get a great handle, right, in regards to doing hostess coaching. Julia, I'm always so nervous to do at home. But you know what? The more you do, you are no more nervous than I was 20 years ago. My table shook more than anything. I felt like I was vibrating standing up there. And here's the deal. I mean, and probably many of you don't know this, but I was a correctional officer for 10 years in a maximum security jail. I could tell inmates what to do, but I couldn't stand up in front of 10 women and share a product that I absolutely was passionate about. It scared the living life out of me, right? So what I found was, and I hear you, that you're extremely shy. Not to worry, I had a lot of extremely shy people on my team who did phenomenal, but they had tools. And what I mean by tools is we have those marketing cards, right, in the back office that you can buy. And it's a flip chart, right? Way back when I first started, we didn't have that. I didn't have a catalog to sell out of. I had something that was faxed to me. So that's a whole other story. But I just make cue cards, and I used my cue cards, and that's what I used for 10 years. Now, trust me, I was really good at it. I didn't need the cue cards, but the cue cards were there to show people that this is so easy, because people are like, oh, I can never do what you do. I'm like, really? I would hand them the cue cards. Can you read off of a cue card? Yeah. I'm like, you can do this. So find strategies, Julia, that will make it easy for you. Those marketing cards that we created in the back office in regards to a party make it so simple and so easy. You don't have to stand to do a party presentation. You could sit with your audience. That's okay. I had consultants, I had a lot of nurses, I had lawyers, I had teachers, you name it, I had it on my team. Some people were just a lot more comfortable sitting as if they were one of the girls. I personally like to stand and deliver. Even when I go and do area meetings or trainings or whatnot, I typically always stand when I'm going to present. I don't know why, it's just part of who I am. So figure out what tools that you need to do that in-home party. Once you do a couple and get a few under your belt, by the time I did about 6, I was like, okay, I'm getting the knack of this. I know what I'm going to say in that 30 minutes. So those cue cards were critical for me because I would time it out and I would practice it. And I was practice it. And I remember this to the day. My kids would be in their exerciser or their bouncy seat or whatever you want to call it. And I would be practicing my demonstration with my cue cards. And I would practice it and practice it and practice it. I would practice it with a girlfriend. If you have a business buddy, like a battle buddy on your team, practice it with her. There's nothing wrong with practicing your presentations with each other. I think it's actually pretty brilliant and genius that you practice on each other. Why not? So don't be nervous about doing in-home parties. They're more bang for your buck. You're going to have higher sales, more parties booked, and a lot more recruit leads. Trust me on this. I'm telling you guys right now, trust me on this. Any other questions? But thank you for sharing that, Julia. I know sometimes it's hard, but you will get over it, and you'll find the tools and the things that you need in order to do a presentation. Anything else? You guys have you exhausted all your questions? I want to check the time. Oh, I've been on for an hour. Oh my gosh. No wonder my mouth is dry. You're welcome. You're absolutely welcome anytime. And I will tell you guys, I am no different from you. 20 years ago, I was scared. I was nervous. I had no idea. I'd never been in sales before. I came out of a jail. I was a correctional officer. I had the skill set was totally foreign to me. Selling a product was totally foreign to me. Hostess coaching, totally foreign to me. That I like, again, going back to that, I could tell an inmate what to do, but I was really nervous about telling a hostess how to have a really great party. But when I found the secret to doing it and being on that phone and having those regular calls with her and being consistent, man, things changed. Things absolutely exploded. So don't be afraid to ask for what you want out of your party. Don't be afraid to set her up for success, because her success is your success, right? She's going to tell tons of people about this amazing party she had with you. And there's referrals, there's customers, all sorts of great things come from that. So you're welcome, Vicki. All right, guys, I am going to let you go. And I hope this was helpful for you guys. I want you to think about how you can apply it to your in-home as well as your Facebook parties, because it really is dual. All right. There is no, as far as I'm concerned, there is no difference between an online host and an in-home host, other than you are physically going and connecting physically with those people. Okay. I would love to hear feedback. I want to know what's working, right? What worked, what didn't work, and why, right? Don't be afraid to connect with Julie. Don't be afraid to connect with me. If we aren't friends on Facebook, make sure that you friend request me on Facebook right away. I want to know what is working. So Andrea says, thank you so much for sharing your tips and tricks. I'm looking forward to tweaking my current hostess coaching and adding a little Tracey flair to the mix. I love it. I love it. So again, don't be afraid to be directive. Be bold. Be brave. Be fearless, guys, when it comes to this. I'm telling you, this is the work, this is the meat, but you know, at the end of the day, this is where you're going to get all the rewards from, is by doing your hostess coaching. So anyway, so thank you guys for allowing me to share with you guys, and I can't wait to hear your feedback. So please make sure that share. Tell me what's working, what's not working, and we'll go from there. So I'll let you go. Have a great night. Bye, guys.